In an era where mental health has become a very big issue, stemming from anxiety disorder, heartbreaks, emotional weight, the need for one to take care of his mental health is very paramount. Amongst various methods is art therapy, which is something we're going to be looking at today. Welcome to Creative Lounge. My name is Ahmed Mohamed Bello, and with me today is a very important person. She's a mental health specialist and she goes by the name DT Motayo. You're welcome to Creative Lounge.
Thank you very much. Please add it to my son. DT is the brand name.
Okay.
Yes.
I know you as DT.
Yes, DT is fine.
You're welcome to Creative Lounge.
Thank you.
You look great.
Thank you.
I know this is Suicide Prevention Month, Awareness Month, and people are going through a lot of things. But before we go into the topic, I want you to tell us what mental health is.
Okay, so first of all, because of the misconception and the huge knowledge gap, when people hear mental health, the first thing that comes to mind is crazy, mad person on the streets. No.
Okay.
So mental health is something that we all have. So according to WHO, mental health is our ability to understand, so ability for a person to understand themselves, their ability to cope with everyday life stresses, and they're still productive in the society. In what it says, okay, stresses are going to happen every day as long as you're alive. But what are your abilities to cope with these daily life stresses? And you're still a good human being. So how you feel, how you think, and how you act, that's mental health. And for you to say you have an holistic health, you have to have a proper physical health, mental health, and social well-being. Then you say you're healthy. So, before you just think, oh, health is about the presence of disease. No. So even according to WHO's definition, health is the physical, mental, and social well-being, even in the absence of disease or infirmity. So everyone has a mental health. So we just swing from somewhere, zero to somewhere. Even when something happens, life experiences happens, you can swing from zero to something. You go back, the same way your physical health swings from somewhere to somewhere, and you go back after treatment and medication. Same thing. So we all have a mental health.
So if someone says, or a doctor diagnoses me, let's take for example, and says you have mental health disorder, what does it mean?
Okay, so a doctor doesn't tell you have mental health disorder. Okay. It might say, okay, you are suffering from depression, anxiety. So basically, mental health disorder, mental illness, you can see it in different mental health disorder, mental health stresses, mental health illnesses. Is when there's something abnormal from your normal mental health state. Just like you say, okay, you go to the hospital, diagnose you for malaria, typhoid. You can also diagnose you for a mental health distress or illness. So that is the issue. So it's not that the mental health is the problem, but okay, mental health illnesses, and there are a huge number of them, and severity also matters. The same way we have severity for physical health, we have severity for mental health. So when you say, okay, you have a mental health disorder, what is it? How bad is it? What do you have to do?
So, mental health disorder or depression is not madness, yeah?
No way.
It's not mental health.
No, so that one that people think is mental health, that's psychosis, that's a kind of mental health illness. Okay. So we have a huge range of mental health illness. We have mood disorder, anxiety disorder, other mood disorder, you can find depression. And it also have severity, like I said. There's anxiety, there's post-traumatic stress disorder. That's when someone has gone through a traumatic experience. It can lead to that post-traumatic stress disorder. There's eating disorder. There's body dysmorphia. People don't like the way they look.
Okay.
So these are different. There's schizophrenia. People lose them. There's psychosis. There's substance abuse, substance use abuse. So all of these are mental health problems. There's addiction. So these are mental health disorders. So that's where you're moving from your normal state of mental well-being to something that is abnormal. Then you call it mental health distress.
When we talk about art therapy, I know there are different spectrums of art, ranging from photography to painting to music
to dancing.
Amongst all the spectrums, which do you think is most useful or most beneficial?
They are all beneficial because art is whatever art therapy or whatever kind of form of art you want to use it's based on your preference. So you have to be like, okay, personally, I love music. I don't know how to paint with my hand, but music for me is a release for me, is an expression for me. So whatever works for you. Or you have to be sure this is, because there are a lot of forms, like, many people think art is just painting and drawing. There is even people now, you see all of these digital arts happening around. Some people like to put puzzles together, like some want to do doodling, some want to do graffiti. Yeah. So some want to just dance, some want to listen, some want to write poems. So it depends on what works for you. So it's individualized. Any form of therapy has to be contextualized for your own individual preference, and also it's determined on the kind of mental health problem. So yes, you can say art works for depression, anxiety, but someone who has schizophrenia or someone who has psychosis, do you think art, painting will work for that person? It might just be music that will work for that person. It might be dance that will work for that person. So it depends on severity. It also depends on your age. So what works for a Gen Z will not work for the older generation. So it depends on individual. It has to be contextualized. Okay. And also it depends on who your therapist is. What's the person assessment? Okay, this is what you like. What do you want to try this? Or maybe you don't even know what you like. They now assess you. Okay, try different things that they recommend to you. So it's not one size fits all. So no one is better than the other. But what works for you, you just practice what works for you.
Take for example, I go through, say, mood swings. What kind of therapy do you think is the best for me?
Okay, so depending on what is the trigger for your mood swing. Okay. So I know you are an artist. This is something you love. So okay, let me use myself as an example. We all move from one mood to the other, depending on what experience you're having per time. So it's not all, but then just clear that it's not all mood swing that is a mental health problem. Okay. So sometimes someone can piss you up so bad, it will change your mood for a very short period of time and you swing back. So that's not a mental health problem. That's just being reactive to whatever is happening. But when you start seeing that you are having a mood swing for more than 2 weeks and above, same time, same way, then you start thinking maybe there's something deeper than just someone triggering you. So that's what. So for someone that has a mood thing, for me, if I'm in a moody place, maybe my mood is like I'm not so happy. They're kind of, music has different genres. So I want to listen to some slow songs, or maybe I'm in another high spirit. I want to listen to some Afrobeat. So it depends on how you feel as a person. So you can't come to therapy and I tell you, oh, I've listened to you. I think go and take a pencil and a paper and go and draw. And for someone like me, I come to therapy and tell me, I'm like, doesn't make sense. I don't even know how to draw my name. So that's really like, you have added anxiety to me because that's not my comfort zone. But you can ask me, okay, these are the options that are available. What do you like doing? Do you like writing? Do you like singing? Do you like drawing? Like for me at home, I have word cross puzzle. That's a stress buster for me. When I'm feeling, I just pick it. I even sometimes check my bag, I have it. So that time, your mind is calm. So you can't say this is the best or this works for this. You by yourself have to identify what are you comfortable with and what works for you.
But there are certain depressed people who might not even have maybe, so depressed that they don't want to do anything.
Yes. So one thing you also need to know that art therapy is not standalone. You have to combine it with other traditional therapy. So for someone that is depressed, art alone might not work. The person needs to go to maybe like see a cognitive behavioral therapist. I am a cognitive behavioral therapist. So what we do is we listen to that person. Because at the point where the person is expressing, we try to give the person other perspective. They start seeing it because many times people, especially in this place, we know we are not fine, but we don't know what it is. We can't even put a name to it. But when you go to therapy, they can help you see perspective. Okay, do you think this is why? We can ask you questions and all of that. Then, from that conversation, from CBT, you might now identify that something that works for you is art, or writing, or music. So you see that it's not one size fits all. Yeah. So you can just say, you can't somebody like, I feel depressed. Okay, go and draw. No, you have to sit down. You have to understand why the person feels the way they do. And one of the ways to manage it is, okay, do you like to sing? Do you like to journal? Do you like to paint? What do you like? Then that way, so it's a progressive thing, it's not a one-off thing. And art is not a standalone, you have to combine it with others so for you to see results.
If you look at Nigeria, to be specific, you have so many people who will tell you, I'm going through a lot. Like, there's hardly anybody you speak to these days who can tell you I'm going through a lot. What do you think is one of the prevalent factors that's causing this? Is it because they're far from nature or they're far from art?
Obvious reasons.
Okay.
So, the determinant of your mental health ranges from a lot of things, from your social factors, environmental factors, biological factors, economic factors. So right now, some people will tell you in Nigeria, I don't tire for this Nigeria. First of all, for a community or a society to be healthy, we must have a proper welfare. We don't have basic welfare in Nigeria. An average Nigerian goes out every day and is not even sure it's going to come back home, meet some light or the road, or somebody's going to yell at you, or you don't even know that the money you have in your bank is going to buy you food. So those anxieties. So even if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, basic human needs from food, shelter, and security.
But some years ago, take for example, some 15 years ago, I didn't think there was anybody like mental health problems.
Yes. Nobody, even till.
So why now?
Till 3 years ago. Let's say even till 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So mental health issues have been there, but it's not something that was normalized around here.
Okay.
But thanks to COVID. So COVID showed us how vulnerable we are as humans. So in the West, people go for therapy already. We used to then say, you go to a shrink, you don't get mad, We knew these things, but because many of these things did not have a name. So in Nigeria, then you see they'll tell you that whatever you're going to spiritual problem, you need to go pray. And whatever we don't have a name here for is spiritual. But COVID now showed us that there are things more than people start killing themselves. Even in the past, people were killing themselves, even when we were growing up. But people don't know why they were killing themselves. But this comes with awareness. So the more awareness, the more people start to hear about it. The more people start to know that these things exist. So the awareness is on the rise globally, and Nigeria too. So Nigeria, we're talking about it, and we're doing a lot of things around it. That's why it's like, now we know. There's a name to it. So for instance, for me, when I had my second child, I had postpartum depression. I didn't know that was what I had until I started studying mental health, and I'm like, that was why I was behaving the way I was.
Okay.
So you understand? So increase in knowledge, increase in awareness, increase in media publicity gives us increase in cases too. Because that way you're beginning to put name to the problem.
So it's not a Gen Z thing?
It's not a Gen Z thing. It is not a Gen Z. Like, even from research, you see that people start having display mental issues from as low as the age of 9, 14. And now look back, when we're in secondary school, you see some people, the way they behave, they just feel rashly. Some people are just unnecessarily aggressive. They don't even know why. But now we now know that, there's something called stressors. There's something called triggers. This is why you behave like this. So because the awareness is more, it looks like a Gen Z thing. And unfortunately, yes, there are people now that are now lashing on it and taking advantage of it. Before you say Jack, it's my mental health. No, that's why we want you and every other person to know what it is, so that when somebody is trying to bobo you, you'll be able to pick it that, you want to be lazy, heck no. But the truth is that we have to look for it. So imagine when we were in school, they taught us first aid. Basic first aid, if you have a cut on your hand, this is what you do. But nobody taught us about mental health first aid. And the truth that was there. You see children that are coming from homes that are broken, then when we're in school, they come to school, they are mad, they are angry, they have attachment problems. We don't know that these were the problems that were happening. So these things have been there. It's just that now they're shedding more light and it's having a name. And we're beginning to see it there.
You were saying something about someone boboing us. People bobo. Yeah. Some people hide, their bad character under
their guise of mental. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Bad behavior. We are badly behaved people. Please quote me or not, like seriously.
Someone lies a lot and you tell and be like, don't judge me.
That's my so that's what I'm telling you. If you know, like one of the programs that we do in my organization is mental health first aid.
Okay.
When you understand what it is, when you understand the signs and symptoms, when you understand the triggers, when you understand why this happened, and you understand how to manage it, you're able to identify. So someone can't just come and just lie and you've not done the right thing, or you give someone a task at work, you know physically everything, this person is okay, but because the person wants to just find a way around it, tells you, oh, I feel burnt out. No, why are you burnt out? Then you question the person. What happened to you? What happened at home? You know? And sometimes you don't have a good reason. Then you tell the person, I understand you might be feeling like this right now, but it's also good to be responsible and advise the person and gradually. But if you are not aware, it's easy for me to come and tell you that right now I'm talking because my mental health is depleted. You don't know, so you won't even have an idea. Yeah. So that's why everybody needs to be aware. The education is top priority.
I've seen people who are so lazy at work or have bad characters at work and they don't want to be corrected. If you correct them, they'll tell you no.
They are triggering my mental health. I hear that a lot.
You go late to work and when you chide them for coming late to work.
Because they love being irresponsible. So you don't take irresponsibility for mental health. That's what you must know too. That's what we see. So if and that's why emotional intelligence is very important. Okay. So when you're emotionally intelligent as a person,
we'll go to emotional intelligence. When we get back, we're gonna go on a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back in the Still Creative Lounge. I have with me in the house DT Motayo, and we're talking about mental health and art therapy. Just before we went on break, we were talking about emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence?
So emotional intelligence is your ability to understand yourself, your emotions, what triggers you, how do you manage it. When you understand yourself, you now manage yourself. Then you understand the next person's emotion and you manage the person. That's emotional intelligence. So the first step is know thyself. So many people don't know themselves. What are your strengths? What are your areas of improvement? What are your weaknesses? What are your triggers? Why do you feel the way you do? So this is having a self-relationship, so it's self-awareness. So when you're self-aware, when you know yourself, when you know your capacity, you know your ability, then you're able to manage your emotions. So that way, when you smell the trigger, you already know, oh, that's a trigger coming. I need to manage it so that I don't act irrationally. Then once you have mastered self, then you're able to understand the next person's emotions, especially people that you live with, that you constantly, even if nobody, you not just people you're living with, you know, just for instance, that you're going and somebody just tells you, they're crazy, one driver, you just smile like, it's not me. Something else must have triggered that person. He's looking for somewhere to vent out because I have mastered my own emotion. So that's emotional intelligence. Know yourself, manage yourself, then you know other people and manage other people. But unfortunately, in this part of the world, people want to start from behind, want to understand people first, want to manage them first before you know yourself.
So if I know myself and I know myself to be a very angry person, I know I get angry quickly, how would I manage you?
First of all, you must manage yourself before you manage me. Because I will always get you angry. And you are the one, the anger is not the problem. Anger is not a bad emotion. It's just an emotion. No emotion has good or bad. It's how you utilize it. Because there are good type of anger, like to push you to do the best for yourself. So emotion is it's thoughtless.
So it's basically you understanding yourself and knowing how to relate to people based on who they are.
Perfect. So people are going, you don't have a choice. You know, I always tell people that you don't have any control over how people will treat you, how they're going to talk to you, or what life is going to throw at you. No control.
How do you empathize with your patient's needs?
So empathy is a very big this thing for even emotional intelligence. So empathizing means you're going to take yourself away and put yourself where that patient is. So a client can come and say, okay, I had a recent one like last week, a guy came in and he was just crying. And I'm like, where do I start from? I'm not used to seeing men cry like this. No, but when he's explained his situation, I could just imagine what I'm in his shoes. Then his feelings are very valid. So for me, everybody's feeling is valid. As far as the person can express it. That's empathy. I can't say, oh, because I feel like this or I don't agree, then I have to feel it differently.
What you're trying to say in essence is that pains are different. People feel pains differently.
People feel pain differently. And people should respect other people's pain. Because my pain is my pain. And that's why I tell people, because you see 2, 4, 5, 10 people experience the same thing. They have gone through the same life challenge, but they're not going to come out the same way. Because we all have our different capacity, we all have our different strength, we all have our different personality. So it's individualized. So that's why it's always a problem for me when I see people compare themselves with other people. No. What works for A might not work for B. Yes, there are some ground rules that are basic rules to life, like, okay, be a good human being, be this person, but approach is different. The way I approach life is different. So I need to respect the next person. And that's why, like, kindness for me is being responsible for the next person's feelings and emotion and validate it.
Yeah, I'm big on music and I feel music is therapy. Now, how do you think music can be beneficial to managing mental health problems?
So, music for me, I think is life. For me, I call music soul food. Because art is expression. And those people that have written those songs, they're expressing. And that's why we have different genres. You see people that are just expressing their feelings, or people are just imagining things that could happen and they put it to music.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so funny that you're feeling a certain way and you play some music and you can so relate to it. So music also helps you express. It helps you release those tensions. So it gives you, like, you can move you from a negative place to a positive place. From imagine you just go and you're just, like, for me, we'll just play some do like this. Next thing I'm like, oh, my spirit is high because of the lyrics. Then for those that write music, it's also a way for them to express.
So, last question. Just general overview. It's Suicide Prevention Month. I want you to say something to people out there. Many people go through things. Say some more encouragement to them. Coming from your line of work, say something.
It's so unfortunate that a lot of people have given up. It's so unfortunate that many people don't even know how to find a way. But the truth is that killing yourself is not a solution. It might end your life, but what happens to those people around you? What happens to all the potential that you carry in? I'll share a quick story. Sometime in 2019, I felt so lost, alone, worthless, useless. And I was on the 8th floor in my school. I was in school there in India. And I was like, I just climbed this thing and just jump down and just end it all. Because there's no point to it. What am I doing here? Nobody sees me, nobody's hearing me, nobody's listening to me. I don't even feel sane, I don't feel useful. Why stay here? So I was about to climb, I'd come out from the balcony and my phone rings. It was my mom. My mom called. Then I had my babies. My daughter was like 18 months, less than 2 years. And she said the kids wants to talk to me. So I came and she gave me the phone. My son was above 2 then. Mommy, I love you, I love you, I love you. And that was what he said. And I started crying. My mom said, what's happening to you? And I said, nothing, that I'm fine. So I came back into my room and I cried all night that day. While I was crying, I was thinking, if I had done that, what would happen to my kids? How would their life be? What happened to my parents? Would they ever heal? So sometimes when you look at it like, oh, but that was just a phase. Look at me today. I'm glad I didn't go through with it. So yes, there might be times when you feel lost, when you feel all alone, when you feel unheard. The best thing is, please just speak up. Just speak to somebody. Just let it out. If you want to yell, yell. If you want to, it's a phase, it will pass. And like I was telling you earlier, that something that came to me is, nobody knows what you don't tell. If you don't say it out the way you feel, nobody knows that you're going through that. There's help everywhere. And also to people that are listening. The next person might just be on the edge. The person just needs your kindness, just needs your empathy. At that point, for you to just say something nice, or just to listen. So we should also be careful those around us, because you never know who is about to take their last breath.
Thank you so much. It was really nice hearing you say all these things. You had everything she said. There's so much to live for. You don't have to kill yourself. There are so many people taking their lives these days, and there's just so much to live for. There's so much hope out there. There are so many people who love you. You know, you might think you're alone, but you're not alone. There are people who love you. There are people who care about you. You don't have to take your life. You know, if you're lonely, if you feel down, if you feel depressed, pick up something. Pick up a new hobby. Pick up a new craft. You know, start a new line of work. Sometimes you just have to unlearn everything you already know and pick up something new. There's nothing wrong with starting over again. Do not compare yourself with other people. You might see your peers moving ahead of you. Don't, see things that way. We all have different paths to take in life. Life is good, life is beautiful. There's so much to enjoy. Thank you so much for being with us. This is what we're going to call it today on Creative Lounge. I remain Ahmed below. Join us same time, same station next week.